Oh yeah, let's play some Fallout 4. Come on, let's get it started. Yeah.
Low on supplies. We're requesting support or evac from our position at Cambridge Police Station.
Fuck you, and fuck you again. What? Come on, I gotta put Fallout down. I gotta check this out.
Guys, Pastor Greg Locke here. Quick thought. You ever wonder why atheists never fight against unicorns? You ever hear them speak against leprechauns? I never hear atheists saying things about anti-alienism. They never fight against trolls. I wonder why. Probably because those little fairy imaginary creatures don't exist. Why spend your life fighting something that doesn't exist? Exactly. You know why they fight God? Because in their heart, they have a God-given conscience, and they know He exists. And the fool has said in his heart, there is no God.
Oh, yes, Pastor Greg Locke. Always love it when people try to debunk atheism in like less than a minute. It is just always an utter failure.
Engineer, a conscious pioneer, a logic general, a reason brigadier. More bullshit from the pulpit. Meet me in the comment section and you get schooled, bitch. The godless engineer.
Hello and welcome on this Fallacy Friday. I am glad that you guys can join me. Boy, do we have a lot of fallacies that have occurred within such a little amount of time. If you guys haven't seen my conversation with Pastor Greg Locke, do check out the previous conversation that we had. And soon, we're going to be having another one, so stay tuned for that. Now, let's see what this first part of his video says.
Guys, Pastor Greg Locke here. Quick thought. You ever wonder why atheists never fight against unicorns? You ever hear them speak against leprechauns? I never hear atheists saying things about anti-alienism.
Okay, so for this first part of his argument here, what we have is a false analogy. Now, I know, hold on to your britches, okay? I know that unicorns and trolls and all that other stuff are just fairy tale things just like God. And in that particular context, it wouldn't be a false analogy. But it coming from Pastor Locke here, he believes in a God. He believes in very specific properties of God. And so, coming from his point of view, using it in his context, it's really a false analogy for him to compare things like unicorns and trolls. Since God is omnipotent, omnipresent, there's a whole book dedicated to describing what kind of God he believes in. It's really a false analogy because you have to take it from the person's context in which they are using their argument in. In his particular context, he cannot compare unicorns, trolls, leprechauns, whatever, to God because they're incomparable items. Now, if you want to refine your argument in order to compare it to something that could be similar, I would suggest comparing it to Odin, Zeus, and all these other things that are supposed to be God. If you compare your God, there, Pastor Locke, to these other gods, you might have a little bit better case, but it suffers from some more fallacies that we're going to get to here in a second. Now, secondly, this is a straw man argument. There are plenty of people that speak out against those very particular items. We're skeptics above anything else, or at least most of us are. But what we do is we actually utilize a certain tool in order to show how absurd this idea of your God actually is, or at least proving your God. Because the reduction to the absurd is when you take a argument out to a very extreme end in order to show how ridiculous the actual argument is. And so what we do is we utilize unicorns and leprechauns and all that in order to highlight how ridiculous this God character actually is. Because, you know, if there were actually like a group of people out there that were worshiping, oh fuck, I don't know, let's say the leprechaun from those shitty 90s movies. Let's say that there's a group out there that's advocating for this particular leprechaun that is their god, who apparently created everything in the universe and created people to be his own little playthings. Well, if that particular group started pushing their particular ideology into public schools, public space, if they said, you have to believe in my god or it makes me all queasy inside, we would speak out against them. We would be actively fighting against them. We would make memes that make fun of them. We would be doing the exact same fucking thing that we do to Christianity now. So it's a strawman argument to say that we don't speak out against these things on a daily basis. Because we do. We're skeptics. We advocate for reality. We advocate for all these things that go against that. So while we don't directly speak out against it, it doesn't negate our speaking out of God, because he is relevant to the current social systems that we live in. Let's continue with Pastor Locke's argument here.
Ever fight against trolls? I wonder why.
Okay, well, I've got to stop you here for two reasons. I missed one. Okay, so he said we don't speak out against anti-alienism. I just want to preface that we are very against Trump. Okay, we speak out against Trump and his anti-alienism all the time. Oh, wait, that's not what anti-alien, that's not a word? What the fuck does it mean then? Secondly, atheists do fight against trolls all the time. There are actually some atheists that are indeed trolls. So I don't know what the point is in your argument here, but it's just simply false. We have coalitions that fight against trolls. Okay, that part's a little bit of bullshit. But seriously, though, we do fight against trolls all day. I'm sure you do, too.
Probably because those little fairy imaginary creatures don't exist. Why spend your life fighting something that doesn't exist?
Why spend your life fighting something that doesn't exist? Well, as I said before, if people started pushing leprechauns, unicorns, trolls, and all that other shit into public schools, into politics, trying to push it on me, trying to make, like, my son in school, like, sing a prayer to fucking leprechauns, I would fight against it. It's really ridiculous for you to have this position of, well, they don't fight against these things, why are you going to fight against God? It's really unfair, because we consider God to be fictional and fairy tale, just as much fairy tale as leprechauns. From my point of view, from my context, God and the leprechaun would be the exact same fucking thing, because they're fictional fucking creatures, they're fairy tales. They don't deserve to be taught in public schools. On the presidential debates, God should not even fucking come into the picture. Because we are a secular nation. We are not built on Christian values. The first 4 fucking 10 commandments is about respecting God and not violating his sensibilities. So I ask you, exactly where in our current legislative government, where in our government in general are these particular laws? Where do we have a law that says that I can't draw God with a bunch of cum stains on his mouth from sucking so much pastor dick? It's not against the law to do that. And all of you people out there that think Sharia law is going to overtake our country, no, it's not. You can draw Muhammad all the fuck you want to. It's not going to change the fact you're not going to go to jail for it here in America.
Exactly. You know why they fight God? Because in their heart, they have a God-given conscience, and they know he exists. And the fool has said in his heart, there is no God.
Basically, what he's saying here is that since atheists don't attack this particular fictional character, and they don't attack that particular fictional character, and then the final fictional character, then they shouldn't really speak out or be against God because they believe he's a fictional character. And so, therefore, they shouldn't speak out against him. That is a slippery slope argument. Just because we consider these things fictional characters, and also we consider God to be a fictional character, doesn't mean that we shouldn't be vocal about or against God. Especially when God in our current climate is being pushed every fucking where, like I've kind of harped on in this video. So that's pretty disingenuous of you to say that. It's a slippery slope, and trust me, your argument doesn't hold water. Please get a better argument. Now, finally, what he does is an appeal to authority. If you don't know, there's actually two verses that he kind of references here. The first is Hebrews 10:16. Now, in this particular one, it says that, you know, God's law is written on our hearts. Now, this is pretty indicative of Ray Comfort's argument that atheists don't exist because God has the law written on our hearts. We know God, and us as atheists deny God only so that we can go and sin. I would love you to tell me what sin actually is. If it's just something that's bad, that's pretty subjective. If it's something that's bad that conforms to your particular interpretation of the Bible, then I would have to say that other people have other definitions that conform to your Bible. So even in your perspective of bad, it's still subjective. It's not objective just because you're using the Bible. All you're doing is doing an appeal to authority, because you're saying that the Bible is an authority and you're appealing to it, saying that it's true. Now, the other one is that last little bit, which I think that he actually got cut off on, but it's Psalm 14:1, and that's, you know, a fool has said in his heart that there is no God. Still an appeal to authority, because you're using the Bible as an authority to say that I'm a fool just because I don't believe in God. Now, finally, to round out today's Fallacy Friday video, this is also anecdotal. You have to read into it a little bit in order to get there, but basically what he's saying is that he hasn't experienced, heard, or seen any atheists actively fight against unicorns or trolls or anything like the magical trolls, not the ones that appear on my videos sometimes. He says that because he doesn't perceive anybody to be fighting against that actively, then therefore they must not fight against it. The skeptic community would fight against anybody asserting that unicorns are real. The skeptic community vehemently fights against flat earth people. We vehemently fight against people that think that for some fucking reason the earth is a concave structure. We fight against people that think the Illuminati are running shit. We fight against all of these different people. Just because you don't perceive them, or the atheists that you have encountered don't actively speak out against these things, doesn't mean that they're not actively against them. So all you really have is an anecdotal perspective of this. You don't have anything that's really looking outside of your own purview. Thank you for joining me today on this Fallacy Friday. I hope that you enjoyed it. If there were some fallacies that I fucked up or that I missed, be sure to go down below, leave a comment. Also, share this motherfucker out. Pastor Greg Locke is an up-and-coming pastor. I would definitely suggest checking out his Facebook page below. He has a lot of videos. He posts a lot of them, luckily in landscape. He already knew how to landscape. But go down below, check him out, look at his videos, leave a comment, be courteous, be sensible. Don't just be like, "Hi, you believe in God, you stupid." But definitely go there, have a conversation with him. He's much more amicable than like Joshua Feuerstein. I hope you guys have a nice night, day, weekend, whenever you happen to be watching this. And as always, I will see you guys next time. Brrr.